The only reason you're here is to pay the bill." Her words didn't just land, they scraped against the glassware, echoed off the cheap string lights draped across the restaurant ceiling. I was still holding my fork halfway to my mouth when my sister laughed. Not the kind of laugh you share at the table. A laugh that digs into you, daring you to bleed. "My name is Rachel, I'm 32, and in that moment I felt like I was 13 again, sitting in the back seat while my golden sister, Alyssa, got the window seat, the better dress, the extra slice of pie. The table froze. My mother stirred her wine, but never looked up. My father's jaw tightened, though not at her, at me like I was being difficult for not laughing along. A waiter passed by with sizzling platters, and even that smell of butter and garlic seemed cruel, like the universe had staged this scene to remind me of my place. I tried to steady my breathing, my palms pressed against the linen, fingertips brushing the edge of the menu I'd been clutching like a lifeline. Christmas was supposed to be warm, wasn't it? Red ribbons, shared desserts, carols leaking from speakers too small for their sound. Instead, all I could hear was her voice, dripping honey and venom. "Lighten up," Alyssa smirked, twirling her champagne glass. "It's just a joke." But it wasn't, because everyone at that table let it stand. Have you ever had family cross your boundaries so publicly you felt naked in front of strangers? Let me know in the comments. I felt my father's eyes on me, waiting as if I'd nod and keep the peace, as if paying hundreds of dollars without complaint was simply my role. My mother finally looked up, but not at Alyssa. At me. Always me. "You make more than us," she whispered like an accusation. "It's not that hard." I swallowed the knot forming in my throat. Money had always been the rope they tied around my neck, yanking whenever they pleased. My job, my hours, my sacrifices, reduced to a wallet with my name stamped on it. The waiter set down another plate, steam curling between us. Alyssa raised her glass higher, smiling like she'd won something invisible. And in that flicker of a moment, between her smug face and my family's silence, I realized something. The joke wasn't hers. The joke had been on me, and it ended tonight. The silence followed me into the parking lot, heavy as snow that never quite fell. I left the restaurant before dessert, my coat clutched at my chest, as if fabric could protect me from the burn of humiliation. Inside, through the glass, I could still see them. Alyssa leaning back in her chair, parents nodding along, the glow of fairy lights making it look like a picture-perfect Christmas, a family portrait framed in betrayal. My breath fogged the night air. I stood by my car, fingers tracing the metal like it was the only thing solid. My phone buzzed, a text from Alyssa. "Don't be so sensitive. You'll still cover it, right? Just put it on your card. You always do." The audacity of it. She hadn't even let the night finish before reminding me of my role. Not a daughter, not a sister, a bank account. I sat in the driver's seat, keys trembling in my hand. The leather interior smelled faintly of pine from the air freshener, but it only mocked me, festive, cheerful, everything I wasn't. My chest hurt, not from sadness, not yet. From clarity, because clarity burns before it cleanses. I thought about the last decade, the graduation I missed because I was working double shifts, wiring money to cover Dad's surprise tax bills. The rent I slipped Alyssa when she claimed her roommate bailed, only to later find out she'd used it on a designer purse. The countless Christmases where my gift to them was peace, bought and paid for in full. I stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My face looked pale under the yellow street lamp, but my eyes, they were alive, almost daring me to finally listen. For years, I had told myself keeping them happy meant keeping myself loved. But if tonight proved anything, it was that their love was conditional, measured, and disposable. I unlocked my phone, scrolled to the family group chat, and hovered over the keyboard. My fingers ached to type something sharp, to slice through their entitlement in one blow. But then I remembered the motif, the photograph in my wallet. The one of me at 16, braces and wide eyes, standing between them all. Everyone smiling, everyone pretending. I used to think that picture proved I belonged. Tonight it mocked me. So instead of words, I sent nothing. I put the phone face down. Sometimes silence cuts sharper. The restaurant door opened. Alyssa stepped out into the night, pulling her fur-lined coat around her shoulders. She spotted me and smirked, as if she already assumed I'd swipe my card tomorrow like always. She waved, a careless little flick of her hand, and disappeared into a rideshare. I gripped the wheel tighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't angry at her. I was done. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls stacked like dominoes. Mom, Dad, Alyssa, even my uncle from Ohio, who never called unless someone died. I let them ring. I poured myself coffee instead, black and bitter, and listened to the sound of silence filling my apartment. For once, the silence was mine. When I finally checked my messages, the shift was almost laughable. Mom, Rachel, the bill's still open. They put it on hold under your name. Just settle it. Dad, don't embarrass the family. Pay it and we'll square things later. Alyssa, LOL, you're being dramatic. It was obviously a joke. Don't make this bigger than it is. Uncle Mike, hey kiddo, heard there was some mix-up. Let's talk. Mix-up. That's what they called it. As if my worth could be erased with 2 hyphens and a shrug. I sat at the table with my laptop open, staring at my bank statements. Years of transactions blinked back at me. Tuition transfers for Alyssa, emergency loans for Dad, random withdrawals for holiday dinners I didn't eat because I was working late to afford them. Every line was a scar. Every dollar, a piece of me I'd given away, hoping they'd see me as more than useful. I opened a blank email instead. Fingers hovering, I typed slow, deliberate words. Effective immediately, I will no longer be providing financial support of any kind. Please do not send me bills, requests, or guilt messages. My role in this family is not a wallet. It never was. Merry Christmas. I read it over 3 times. No apologies. No softness. Just truth. I attached the photograph, the one from my wallet, the staged family smiles, and added a single line beneath it. This picture isn't real anymore. Then I hit send. The moment I closed the laptop, a weight lifted, sharp and sudden, like cutting a rope from around my throat. My hands shook, but not from fear, from release. An hour later, my phone lit up again. A voicemail from Dad, voice raised, accusing me of selfishness. A text from Alyssa, you'll regret this. Family doesn't abandon each other. Funny, because that's exactly what they had done every time they reduced me to a $sign. I looked out the window, the city streets damp from last night's rain. A delivery man dropped a box on my doorstep, humming a carol under his breath. Life was still moving, ordinary and steady. For once, I realized I could let it move without me carrying the weight of everyone else's needs. The rope was gone, but their begging? That was just beginning. By evening, their tone had shifted. The fury in my father's voicemail gave way to syrupy concern. Alyssa, who had always spoken in demands, sent a text that almost read like an apology, almost. Okay, fine, maybe I went too far. But you know I didn't mean it. Don't ruin Christmas over a joke. But the joke had never been about Christmas. The joke was the hierarchy they built. Alyssa untouchable, me responsible. I ignored her. Then Mom called, her voice quivering. Rachel, honey, your sister didn't mean it. She's just under stress. She depends on you. We all do. And if you cut us off now, you'll break the family apart. Break the family apart. I almost laughed. Was there even a family left to break? Or just a fragile illusion patched together with my money? I put the phone down and looked around my apartment. The Christmas lights I'd strung across my window blinked lazily, red and green dots in the dim. A wrapped gift sat on my counter, one I'd bought for Alyssa weeks ago, a silk scarf in her favorite shade of gold. I picked it up, ran the fabric through my fingers, and then shoved it into the trash. That photograph in my wallet burned in my mind again. Everyone smiling. Everyone pretending. The longer I stared at it, the more it felt like a contract I had never signed. By midnight, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't begging. It was Alyssa's voice in a voicemail, sweetened but sharp. "You're being cruel. After everything I've done for you, you'd leave me hanging like this? I'm your sister. Don't forget who helped you with prom, who covered for you when you messed up at work. You owe me. You always will." The entitlement dripped like poison. I replayed the message 3 times, each repetition slicing cleaner. Prom? I remembered that night. She had stolen my dress and claimed she was borrowing it. Work. She had lied to cover her own absence, and I had taken the heat. Even her revisionist history was gilded in self-interest. I sat back in my chair, the city lights outside casting fractured shadows on my walls. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just listened. Listened until the silence after her voice felt louder than her threats. They thought silence meant surrender. But this time, silence was strategy. Because the moment you stop feeding someone's greed, they starve on their own illusions. And I was ready to watch them starve. 3 days passed. I didn't answer a single call. By then, even the group chat had shifted into chaos. Guilt from Mom, rage from Dad, panic from Alyssa. Mom, "Sweetheart, this is tearing us apart. Can't you just pay it and move on?" Dad, ungrateful. "After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us." Alyssa, "The restaurant called me today since you ignored them. Do you want me humiliated? Pay it already." Humiliated. That word stuck to me like frost. For once, she tasted a sliver of what I had swallowed for years. I almost savored it. On the 4th day, a knock rattled my door. Not gentle, not neighborly, relentless. I froze in the hallway, holding my breath. "Rachel, open up. It's me." Alyssa's voice, muffled but unmistakable. I peeked through the peephole. There she stood in her gold coat, hair pulled back in a perfect bun, lips painted like she hadn't spent the last week tearing me apart. She clutched a takeout cup in one hand, peace offering or disguise. "Come on," she coaxed, tilting her head toward the door. "This is stupid. You're overreacting." Overreacting. The word sparked something cold inside me. I didn't move. Her voice hardened. "You think you can cut us off like that? You think money makes you better than family? You're nothing without us. Nothing." I flinched, but only for a second. Then I realized she wasn't here to apologize. She was here to remind me of my assigned role, to tug the rope back around my neck. I stayed silent. She knocked again, louder this time. "You still wear that perfume. The one I bought you? I can smell it through the door. God, you're predictable." The comment was so strange, so petty it almost made me laugh. That was Alyssa, digging through old gestures, twisting them into chains. Finally, her tone dropped to pleading. "Rachel, just pay it, okay? We'll never ask again. I swear. Please." But her voice cracked on that last word, and I realized the shift wasn't about me. It was about her. The restaurant had probably called again, maybe even threatened legal action. The golden child's mask was slipping and panic was setting in. I leaned against the wall, arms folded, listening until her footsteps faded down the hall. Only then did I whisper to myself, steady and certain, "I'm not predictable anymore." The photograph in my wallet fluttered when I pulled it out. For the first time, I didn't see smiles. I saw ghosts, and I was finally ready to bury them. The restaurant finally called me, directly. A polite woman with a clipped tone informed me the bill had been left unpaid, and since my family had put my number down as the responsible contact, I was expected to resolve it. For a moment, I just listened to her voice, the calm professionalism. It was almost comforting compared to the chaos of my family. "I won't be paying," I said quietly. "You'll need to send the bill to Alyssa. She was the host." A pause. Then the woman sighed weary. "Ma'am, I understand, but the reservation was made under your name." My stomach twisted. Of course it was. Alyssa must have slipped it under my identity weeks ago, knowing I'd never question it. But something in me sharpened. Then here's what you'll do, I said, steady now. Email me the contract for that reservation. I want a copy with signatures. If it's my name, I need proof. She hesitated, then agreed. When the document landed in my inbox that evening, I printed it out and laid it across my kitchen table. The name typed in bold at the bottom, Rachel Moore. But the signature? Not mine. Alyssa's handwriting, obvious and lazy, curling the R in the same exaggerated loop she used on birthday cards. For years, she'd stolen my time, my money, my peace. But now she'd stolen my name. I slipped the forged contract into a folder, along with my email copies, her voicemails, her texts demanding payment. A paper trail of entitlement, all neat and damning. When I tucked the folder into my bag, the photograph in my wallet shifted again. I pulled it out. This time, I noticed something I had ignored for years. My younger self in that picture wasn't smiling quite as brightly as the others. My mouth was curved, but my eyes knew. The knock came late that night. Dad this time. His voice gruff, pressed against the door. Rachel, open up. Enough is enough. You're humiliating this family. Do you understand what people are saying? We can't afford to be embarrassed like this. Just pay and we'll move on. I almost opened it. Almost. But then his words repeated in my head. We can't afford to be embarrassed. Not we can't afford the bill. Not we hurt you. Embarrassment was the crime. Appearance the prison. So I stayed silent again. The walls felt thick around me, protective. Their voices outside, his, then Alyssa's joining in, then Mom's shrill begging, couldn't penetrate anymore. Because I finally realized silence wasn't weakness. It was evidence. And when I chose to use it, silence would speak louder than they ever could. The folder sat on my counter for 2 days before I decided what to do. Proof of forgery. Proof of harassment. Proof of every dollar they'd siphoned under the guise of family duty. But it wasn't revenge I craved anymore. It was recognition. Accountability. So I made an appointment with a lawyer. The office smelled like leather and paper, heavy and serious. I sat across from a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She flipped through the folder in silence, her fingers lingering on Alyssa's forged signature. This is identity misuse, she said simply. And if the restaurant pushes, you could be held liable for fraud, unless you show them this. Then the liability transfers back to your sister. The words hit me like clean air. Liability transfers back to your sister. Finally, the weight wasn't mine to carry. The lawyer leaned back. We can send a cease and desist to your family regarding financial harassment. You don't owe them anything. And if they keep pushing, we can escalate. But the first step is choice. Do you want to make this formal? I thought of Alyssa's smirk in that restaurant. Dad's barked orders. Mom's whispered guilt trips. For years, they'd built a cage and convinced me it was home. Yes, I said, voice steady. Make it formal. That night, I sat by my window, the city below glittering with holiday lights. My phone buzzed with another string of messages, but I didn't answer. Instead, I opened the group chat and dropped a single sentence. All financial matters regarding the restaurant have been forwarded to my lawyer. Do not contact me directly again. Then I attached the photo of the forged signature. The chat exploded, Alyssa insisting I'd ruined her life, Dad threatening to fix this his way, Mom begging me to stop tearing us apart. But for once, none of it touched me. The rope was gone. Their voices were noise. I slid the photograph from my wallet one last time. That stage smile, those ghostly faces. I tore it in half, then again, until only fragments remained. Tiny pieces of a lie I no longer carried. When I dropped them into the trash, the sound was soft, almost tender. For the first time, I felt free enough to breathe. And in that freedom, I understood. Revenge didn't need fire. Sometimes it looked like paperwork. Sometimes it looked like silence. Sometimes it looked like walking away while they drowned in their own reflection. And I wasn't done walking yet. The letter from my lawyer went out on a Tuesday morning. By Thursday, the calls had stopped. Not tapered, stopped. Silence after weeks of harassment felt like music. Then, on Friday, an email appeared in my inbox. From Alyssa. The subject line read, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without opening. But curiosity won. Inside, the words stumbled, messy and uneven. "I didn't mean to drag you into that. I just thought you'd handle it like always." I didn't realize how much I was asking. Mom and Dad said some things they shouldn't have. We all did. Please, don't shut me out forever. It was just a joke that went too far. Just a joke. Even an apology. She couldn't name what it really was. I read the email twice. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. I just felt clear. I replied with 3 lines. The bill is no longer my responsibility. Future requests should go through my lawyer. I wish you well. And I sent it without hesitation. That weekend, I walked through the city as snow began to fall, soft and weightless. Families bustled past me, arms full of shopping bags, laughter spilling into the cold air. I didn't envy them. I didn't ache for what I'd lost, because what I'd lost had never been real to begin with. When I reached a small bridge, I stopped. From my coat pocket, I pulled out one last thing, a fragment of the torn photograph I'd kept. My own face, 16 years old, braces and tired eyes. I held it a moment longer, then let it drift into the river below. The water carried it away, fast and sure. I leaned on the railing, the chill biting my skin, and whispered into the night. I'm not your wallet. I'm not your silence. I'm me. For the first time, the words felt like a vow. Have you ever had to cut off the very people who swore they loved you? If so, just say same in the comments. I turned and walked back into the city, the snow gathering in my hair, the streets alive with strangers who didn't demand anything from me. And for the first Christmas in my life, I finally belonged to myself.